So this video, essentially, I was having this revelation where I was exploring the nature of progression, within various things, but it was essentially I had this mushroom trip several months ago where I was feeling it was like a very non-verbal sort of thing where I could feel so deeply into how everything can progress in a very gradual and almost incomprehensible way. And yeah, in this video I find myself within the dimensions of gloving, just exploring this. Thumbs. Extraordinary pivot points. And we use these and really explore all these little micro dimensions within these pivot points. And further, we allow ourselves to extend this exploration to the pointer. Then we explore all the infinite dimensions within the pointer finger. And then we gradually, progressively evolve into, say, the relationship between the thumbs and the pointers as they're unraveling all these micro and then eventually macro dimensions, and then we enter into the middle finger, and then we can come back and we can explore the dimensions between those three, and then progressively evolve into using the entire 5 digits. This is sort of the realization we were finding that one time when we were exploring just the natural, very steady progression within, well, everything, but in our example, for dance, for flow art, the way that it's gradually progresses through the micro dimensions and then explodes into these more macro dimensions and then slowly comes back, and then when it hits an apex, this is when we're able to fluently move back and forth between the two, right? So that's the idea. And as we were seeing very actively, in this mushroom trip several months ago, I remember seeing that this applies to everything. This applies to dimensions of songwriting, of singing, of guitar. This applies to pan flute. This applies to breathing in various ways, and the way that it streams into all those things. But I just remember simply not being able to really explain it, but just knowing that feeling, that really infinite depth of progression. Just examining progression as a whole, understanding the way that when you see it, when you experience the infinite dimension of progression within these sort of things, then you just get a taste of understanding just how far you can take these things, these expressions, these creative dimensions. So moving back into the nonverbal. Even the way we were seeing that, this is something that we've very, very lightly explored, but we can naturally go very deep with an understanding, even these little contortions, these bends of the finger. You see, because when you're playing, when we speak of micro dimensions, we're talking about every little element of the hand. Like even looking at this, before you even introduce any fingers, the infinite pieces of just your anatomy that you can explore, like looking just at the anatomy of the hand. It's expansive. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of ways that you can create dimension within the anatomy of the hand. And I find myself often get lost, for lack of a better word, in just these little creations, just go in a trance where you're just exploring very viscerally the the infinite combinations that you can enter just within the hand. And the beauty of this is this applies so deeply to everything, every part of the anatomy. It's all very expansive. See, this is what I see within the dancing paradigm. A lot of people speak of, at least in the flow art paradigm, of the grid, right? And I think we think of the grid in this sort of context. All right, we have these, and this is actually the way I've explained it various times. But when we see what the grid's actually applying to, when we understand that it is literally a micro grid, it's on every given little motion, every movement that you can possibly imagine and feel, every motion. This is a part of the grid, right? And the interesting part about this is why I feel doing things like Tai Chi, because this is where I really felt it clicked, it really made sense. Is when you're exploring this very, very steady, almost subtle, almost to a pause. This motion that is just so almost incomprehensible. This shows you, this allows your body to feel